Good evening, dear devotees and friends. Let us begin our weekly gospel class, the Panchama Veda, with this pranam mantra. Tavu kathamritam tapta jivanam kabibiriditam kalmashapaham sravana mangalam srimadatatam bhubi grinanti e bhurida janaha. Today I am almost 2-3 minutes late to come over here. Though we stay over here at the last moment something, so I am sorry for this late beginning. But the last time we were reading Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, very wonderfully he was mentioning like this about the samadhi. So let us begin from there. The mind completely takes the form of reality. What is samadhi? Mind takes the form of the reality. Now, if there is an object of the reality, the mind is taking that particular form. Or he is telling not the God, not the image of the god or goddess, he is telling the reality. And reality means the consciousness. And when you are taking, mind is taking the form of the consciousness, means it is all pervading that feeling. How it is, those who have already realized, they only can understand. So it is completely subjective, but the definition that the mind takes the form of the reality. Now, there are two types, savikalpa, nirvikalpa. If we are taking a form before us, maybe Lord Krishna or Shiva or Durga or Kali, whatever may be the form, and slowly I am transforming myself into that form, and that is the only form remaining, and that is also samadhi and savikalpa. Yes, with the some object. The I consciousness, by body consciousness that I am meditating, that is completely gone. So he was explaining about the samadhi. The last time we could not complete it, so we are studying this. This samadhi, the completely is a nirvikalpa samadhi. Also there, when there is no object. Now about the samadhi, I like to quote from some of the scriptures. The Sri Ramakrishna says, distinction between the meditator and the object of meditation does not exist. So if you remember this, what is samadhi? The person who is meditating is completely merging with the object on which he is meditating. That's why sometimes the Radha used to say, Sri Radha used to say, I am Krishna. So that is the unique way, the wonderful way to say that, I am Krishna. Completely merging, and she was in that form. Sometimes some people, they have noticed Ma Sharadamani Devi unknowingly behaving like Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. Those who have read those biographies, you know that. So behaving like Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, that means that is in samadhi. A completely merging. Here it says, the Daksha says, taktva vishaya bhogamstu mono nischalatam gatam atma shakti swarupena samadhi parikirtitaha. Vishaya bhogamstu, the mind becomes completely free from worldly desire. Completely free from worldly desire, Vishaya bhogamstu. What are the Vishaya? That they have shortlisted only 5. What is that? Rupa, Rasa, Sabda, Sparsha and Gandha. And Rupa means the form, Rasa the taste, the smell the sound, like this. These five are the objects. Who is enjoying? The mind. How the mind enjoys that? With the five our sense organs. Chakshu, Karna, Nasika, Jiva and Taka. Chakshu means the eye, Karna the nose, smelling, and the sound it is hearing, like this, Pancha, the five Gyanendriyas. When that is completely gone, when nothing remains, Mana Nischalatam Gatam Atma Shakti Sarupena. The mind goes into tranquility, and on what it remains? Atma Shakti. Only the Atman, the power of Atman, the consciousness of Atman, the thought of Atman and nothing else. That is called Samadhi. That is Daksha he is telling. Uttara Gita, many of at the time of the puja, the pujaris they do chant these, Akasham Manasam Kritva Manakritva Niraspadam Nishchalam Tvam Bijaniyat Shamadhistasya Lakshanam. That is the, if you say about the Samadhi, that is Samadhi. What is it? Akasham Manasam Kritva. When the minds become vast like the space. This is the way it says, that means in the mind there is nothing. And the speciality of the Akasha, the space, we think that has a color, but it has no color. We think the different type of things like the dirty things flying on the air, that is contaminating the space. Nothing. It cannot touch it. So many things are there, but the space, the Akasha in the Sanskrit, that remains the same. So mind should be like that. So many other thoughts are coming, so many things are happening. Mind is totally undisturbed, unperturbed, completely tranquil. So Akasham Manasam Kritva Manakritva Niraspadam, completely free, the still knowing the Paramatma, Nishchalam Tat Bijaniyat. The Nischala means without movement. Na chala, Nischala, no movement. Whenever there is a movement, again and again, we repeat, because this is the Hindu, the way of thinking. The moment something is moving, some creation is going on, that means the activity of the Sattva, Raja, Tama, the qualities, that is there. The moment there is a quality, activity of the qualities, whatever it may be, either Tama, Raja or Sattva, but the activity means activity, it is not stillness. As long as the activity is there, it is not Samadhi. And Samadhi means completely stillness. Someone came to one of our ashrama and he told, I have just completed Nirvikalpa Samadhi, then what should we do? Next, what should I do? What to do after the Samadhi? Then jokingly the Swami said, oh, you have completed the Samadhi, go and take prasad. So that is the only thing left, and nothing remains. So that is, the people don't know what is Samadhi. So this is, prasad means go and take food. So this is the way people they think. So a clear idea is necessary. When the mind is completely, Yoga Vasishta also says, Akshubda Nirahamkara Dandeshu Notu Patini Prukta Samadhi Shabdena Mero Stiratara Stitihi. Meru, that means like a hill, Stira, without any disturbance, never ever changing the little posture also, just like the stone they will be there. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, in many of the places he has said that when he used to sit for meditation, as if someone from outside is to come and give the lock, in the when it is folding the hand or the legs, so they will be locked. You cannot move unless and until you complete the meditation, as if his mind is only thinking, but at least someone is helping him doing like that. Like the stone image, it will be sitting over there. And not only, and how it is possible when the mind is completely out of that body, then only it is possible. Friends, we are discussing about the samadhi, about the meditation, because two things we must understand. It is the body and the mind. The body can be controlled for many things, many other things are there. Or like if you control and practice, you can sit on one posture for a long time. It is possible. But about the mind also, this is very important. The mind should be focused on only one thing. And then slowly, that whole mind will be transformed into that particular object. And that is the reason it is said, one should take the image of God. Any image you take, you can meditate on that, any image. For the students who used to teach that, put a red mark on the wall and continuously look at that and make your mind concentrated on that, like this, it is possible. But whatever you are concentrating on, the object of your concentration is, your mind is taking that form, that shape. So one should be careful about the object also. When we are choosing an object, we should be careful about that. And not only that, if the object is a bad one, all those qualities also automatically will come. You will imbibe those qualities. So if we are concentrating on a bad object, something wrong, ultimately we are going to suffer. So object should be chosen very carefully, and that is the Yoga Vashishta Prakaranaganta. He said, the akshubda nirakara dandeshu no tu patin. No danda, there is no duality. So this is about when Sri Ramakrishna is talking that about the meditation. Then we have already read that, and we slowly came into this. Here Sri Ramakrishna is attending the Annakuta, the mountain of food. The Annakuta, organized by a group of devotees hailing from the Marwar of the north side of India. The main their occupations of business. And there we find that Sri Ramakrishna is very happy. The host, he came and he is talking with them, with the master, and the host is telling, "Sir, what is the way for us?" This part also we read. What is the way for us? Sri Ramakrishna, very simple, because those people are so very engaged. They are very busy in doing the business. You know, some people who are doing the official job, they go, they complete the job and come back, they are free. Nowadays, of course, we hear from our young devotees that they are not giving the particular job. A project has been given and you have to complete that project within this particular period of time. So they are constantly working. But previously, I heard the people are going to the office and performing his duty over there, but then they will come back and will free. But the business, it is not like that. Constant different type of things are happening. So one must be very, very careful, and that's why all the time busy. So Sri Ramakrishna gave them the simple method, chanting the name and glories of God, living in the company of the holy men, and earnestly praying to God. These 3 steps. He said, "Sir, what is the way for us?" That means how to realize God, how to be free from the circle of birth and death. 3. First, chanting the name and glories of God. So not only the name, but the qualities of that particular God or goddess that you are meditating on, praying to. So this you have to understand, that if we choose any God we can choose. But if you are choosing today, Monday, I will choose the Hanumanji, and then the Tuesday, the Sita Ma, and Thursday the Ramchandra, and then like this if we go on changing, we are not imbibing those qualities. So why the Ishta Devata? Many people they say all gods are the same. I can meditate on this God, that God. Of course you can do. The problem is this. But the problem is you are not going to imbibe getting any benefit. Why? You are only taking the name of God or repeating the name of God or concentrating on that particular God for a short period of time. Then you are changing. The qualities of that particular God or goddess is not coming to you. The great qualities are there. That's why one should be careful in choosing also. Do we have any clear idea about the quality of the God and goddess, that particular form that we are meditating? So we have to, that Sri Ramakrishna said, chanting the name and glories of God. So I am chanting, the very clear, we have to chant the name of God. Go on repeating that particular name, and when you are going on repeating that name, when you are careful that you are really perfectly pronouncing that name, other thoughts won't disturb your mind. That is the idea. Other thoughts won't disturb your mind, so you are taking that name. And at the same time, slowly, when the mind is little tamed, a little controlled, then you see the image of that particular God or goddess, and also you are thinking about the wonderful quality of the God. The God is full of love, God is full of compassion, God is full of forgiveness. And all those wonderful qualities, if we are going on thinking God did this, God did that. So that is why the Bhagavata, they said, you have to remember the activities of the God and how he is behaving. In the Gospel also, the Master Mahashaya, who has noted this, he has given how Sri Ramakrishna is behaving. But that is the way one should imbibe those qualities. Then said, living in the company of the holy men. Holy men, living in the company of some of the monks who are pretending to be holy or just trying to be holy. So that you have to choose very carefully. The company you are going and thinking that these are the people, I am going to see them, observe them, and then repeat in my own life their behavior. You have to be very, very careful how they are behaving. Sometimes the monks, the other time, the organization is there, so they are working, they are talking to some people, and like this it is going on. But if you like to observe them, you have to observe in the morning and the evening when they are meditating. So the Master Mahashaya, this particular gentleman who was noted, he used to ask the young people to go to the Belur Math, the headquarters of the Ramakrishna Mission and Vedanta societies. He used to ask them to go in the early morning when the monks are meditating. After the daybreak, they are all doing different type of work, and then if you go, you will find them talking, laughing, cutting jokes, and doing this work, that work, just like ordinary people. You won't get that impression. But when 100 monks and brahmacharis sitting in this one temple and meditating, that is a different atmosphere. Not a single sound anywhere. Automatically your mind will also feel that I should also meditate. Like this it goes. So when you go for the living company of the holy, one has to be, this also we should have to keep in mind. And then your personal effort, what is that? Praying to God, praying to God, praying to God. the host, please bless me, sir, that I may pay less and less attention to the worldly things. So Ramakrishna they're making fun out of that, and he's smiling. How much attention do you give to the world? 50%. So like that they're making a fun. That is the joke apart. If when we are asking, are you sincere? That also we have to consider. How much attention I can give to the world and how much attention I can give to the God. Here Sri Ramakrishna didn't say, why don't you transform the whole thing? That is the beautiful way of the karma yoga. That is the best way, the karma yoga. Whatever I do, maybe the office work, maybe something that is as a social work, but if I am constantly thinking that I am doing this as a service to God, whatever I do, whatever I know, whatever I learned according to my education, my training, that service I am giving back to the society, but I am thinking I am actually serving the living gods. That also can be converted. So that is the attention. And if you please God, everyone will be pleased. Sri Ramakrishna is telling. If you please God, everyone will be pleased. It is God alone that exists in the heart of the holy man. So holy man means what? God. And what is God? Love and unselfishness. Indirectly, Sri Ramakrishna is giving the hint, whom you are thinking as holy men, you must be very, very careful about that. Some people are very wonderful, that lecturer, some people are very good looking, some people are like these and that, and externally they will be doing that. Don't get impressed on all those. That is good, they are doing. But the main thing is, the God is residing into their heart, and slowly their character is transforming. And what is that God? Love and unselfishness. Love without any boundary. Again and again I say that I love my country, I love the countrymen, I love the religious people, I love my society. Anyone can do that. But the love that reaches and embraces each and everyone without considering whether the caste, creed, sex or anything, that is called the divine love. Feeling for that true love. And the person, the holy person, in their mind also constantly, that should be there. So it says like that, it is God alone that exists in the heart of the holy man. Nothing, of course, remains unrealized when one attains God. If a man attains God, he can give up everything else. If a man gets a rupee, he can give a joy of a penny. The host is telling, Master, a little spiritual discipline is necessary. Through the practice of the discipline, one gradually obtains divine joy. Suppose a jar with money inside is hidden deep under the earth, and someone wants to possess it. In that case, he must take the trouble of digging for it. So he is giving the example. He gave only say, you have to have some discipline. Discipline means repeatedly you have to practice that. And different type of situation will come, but your practice should continue. That is called the discipline. Now I have taken that I should do the 1000 or 5000 japa, I must do the japa. And I must complete that, then only I will go to sleep. Maybe in between some other responsibilities came, that call for the work came, so you have to be in, but I must complete and then only I'll, maybe sometimes it may be less sleep, but even then I have promised to myself that I will complete 1000 japa, I must complete the japa. So this is called discipline. I should get up in this time, I should do this much of discipline, Vaidhi Bhakti, but that gives slowly the mind becomes completely disciplined. A little spiritual discipline is necessary. Through the practice of the discipline, one gradually obtains divine joy, and then he is telling that something is there, the full jar full of the money, and he is going on digging. That is, after much digging, the spade strikes the metal jar. He feels a thrill at the sound. The more sound the spade makes, striking against the jar, the more joy he feels. Then slowly, how you will know that you are making progress in the spiritual life? Sometimes some people, they come out of that curiosity to become a monk or a nun, and they try to do that. But then, unfortunately, they do not practice the discipline. They don't have that patience to do that. Some utopian ideas, very peculiar ideas they have, they will be doing like that. But here, if you are going on repeating the name of God and trying to meditate and doing the work for the service to God, whatever the menial job is given to you, you are transforming that as a divine work. By that way, slowly, you are improving. And how you will know that you are improving? Joy. You will find joy into doing that. So you are cleaning, and then you are just going on singing a bhajan of the God, or chanting some mantra, or repeating the holy name, and doing that, and slowly, whatever you do, the yardstick is joy. And that joy is not depending on anything outside. Oh, I have done this, and now the in charge of Swami, he should appreciate me before others, then only I get the joy. Not like that. It is from within it comes, from it internally the joy comes, then one can understand. And it goes on, pray to Rama, meditate on him, he will certainly provide you with everything. Pray to Rama. He is talking with the devotee from the Marwar. So they are mainly devotee of Sri Ramachandra. So Sri Ramakrishna is telling, pray to Rama. Revered sir, you are Rama himself, the host said. And look at the reply of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna said, how is that? Waves belong to the river. Does the river belongs to the waves? Beautifully he said. Sri Ramakrishna is Rama. Afterward he said that himself said to Swami Vivekananda. Many of you know it. That when he was on his deathbed, and his young disciple Narendranath, afterwards Swami Vivekananda, and he was standing near the door, and he was thinking, if the person at this moment can say that he is God, I will believe. And Sri Ramakrishna, the moment he thought, immediately he replied, he who was the Rama, he who was the Krishna, now in these Sri Ramakrishna form. So he said that. But when this host, this Marwadi gentleman, businessman, he is telling, sir, you are Rama himself, Master immediately said no, because he was just praising. He was not sincere. He was not understanding who is Rama and what is that. Just he was praising and out of emotion. Sri Ramakrishna never accepted that. Rama dwells only in the hearts of the holy men. The host is telling. He is also a nice person. Rama dwells only in the hearts of holy men. He cannot be seen in any other way. There is no incarnation of God at the present time. So he was talking about Sri Rama, and then suddenly he said no incarnation, and he was telling to Sri Ramakrishna himself. So we can understand he didn't feel anything in the person of Sri Ramakrishna. Though when he said this, said you are the Rama, And that is a way of talking, just eulogizing, just praising, but that just from the lip. It is not from the heart, not from the feeling, not from the realization. So that he was telling, Sri Ramakrishna didn't accept. And when he said, there is no incarnation of God at the present time, the master smiling, how do you know there is no divine incarnation? How do you know that there is no divine incarnation? The host remained silent. The master, all cannot recognize an incarnation. This, in the Bhagavad Gita also, Sri Krishna is telling the same thing. I am the God, but very few can understand that. No people can understand that. So this is, all cannot recognize an incarnation. When Narada visited Rama, Rama prostrated himself before Narada and said, we are worldly creatures. How can we be satisfied unless holy men like you visit us? Sri Ramachandra was none but the Vishnu himself. But as because he was behaving like a man, a person, a human, so he was behaving like a human. So when the Narada came, Narada is a devotee of a Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu has become Sri Rama. And now the Sri Rama is telling, offering the respect to the Narada, his devotee, unless the holy men like you come, then who will visit like that? How can we can be satisfied unless holy men like you visit us? Further, Rama went into exile in the forest to redeem his father's pledges. He saw that since hearing of his exile, the rishis of the forest had been fasting. Many of them did not know that Rama was none other than the Supreme Brahman. Shuddha Brahma Parat Pararam. In the beginning of the Ram Nama, the fast, this is the beauty of the Hinduism. They'll be talking about the incarnation, the God has become human form. They'll be talking about the duality, the God and the devotee. But at the same time, they know the base word is the Supreme Brahman, all-pervading consciousness, Shuddha Brahma, Parat Para Ram. And then they will be talking about that his father was this, his mother was this. But in reality, he is Shuddha Brahma. Host, you too are that same Rama. Again he is telling. The master, for heaven's sake, never say that. This is the beauty of the Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. If someone coming and praising us, we become, oh, okay, don't say that. But inside, some of us, we may feel happy. And my devotees are, that's why many places we have seen the birthday the Swamis are observing, and they are very happy, devotees are coming and they are worshipping in India also. But only the representative of the Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, that the gurus, they can be, and not other. No other should do that. What is your birth? What you have realized? Nothing. What is your contribution? If other people are coming, that means you are taking. When they are giving something, that means you have to give back something. And what you are giving back, whatever you have acquired, the spiritual thing, you are sharing that. What will remain with you then? So this way we have to understand Sri Ramakrishna is becoming humble. This is also to teach us. When someone is coming and unnecessarily praising us without knowing us, one must be careful. Then why unnecessarily he is doing it? And that generates, if not anything else, the ego. That will, the people are coming and going on telling that, oh, he was so good, he was so good. And slowly, slowly the ego start entering into, and you won't understand when the ego has already entered. And whatever the spiritual power, spirituality that you acquired, all will go in vain. So many times it has happened. So many times with so many very holy lives. So these are the challenges before the holy people, and those who are trying to be holy, to be spiritual, trying to realize God, one must be careful. That's why again and again Sri Ramakrishna, understanding this, and those who have gone through the biography of Sri Ramakrishna, you know, some of his devotees, when he was alive, some of his devotees, they started debating with other people, the Sri Ramakrishna's God himself, and was Ram Babu was there. Ramchandra Datta, he was a doctor, he was a very highly qualified person and the recognized person in the then society. So when Ram Babu came, Sri Ramakrishna rebuked him. Hey, you don't know anything about me. You have not realized anything about me. Why you are unnecessarily praising like this? This is Sri Ramakrishna. First you have to realize, first you have to feel, first you have to understand, then only. And there are some people, they will say, Sri Ramakrishna did not feel some of the things in his past incarnation as Sri Ramakrishna, so I have taken birth, the Sri Ramakrishna has taken birth in my form, and I am fulfilling all his desires, the worldly desires. Look at it. So nonsense. You say that I have realized God and I am giving this teaching, no problem. In Hinduism you are completely free, and you can always demand that I have realized God and I have something to give to the devotees, give to the people, give it. They will always feel, get some followers, no problem. So these we learn from the pages of this book, the Panchama Veda, the Gospel. One should be very, very careful. It's not only the devotees, it is also those who have left their hearth and home, the monks, would-be monks and nuns, must be very careful. When people are praising, because a little practices of meditation and spirituality immediately will attract the people, and that shows that as a proof that God is there. Because divinity has a wonderful thing that attracts people, that is purity. And when they come, then I, or the person to whom they are coming and going on praising, you are so and so, and we will celebrate your birthday and all this, then slowly we can't stand, and then he loses the whole. Sri Ramakrishna is telling that. As Sri Ramakrishna spoke these words, he bowed down to the host and said with folded hands, that Rama dwells in all beings. He exists everywhere in the universe. I am your servant. It is Rama himself who has become all men, animals, and other living beings. Host, but sir, we do not know that. But we know that means we don't feel like that, we don't realize like that. The Master, whether you know it or not, you are Rama. This is telling from the viewpoint of the Vedanta. You are that. The host, you are free from love and hatred. He is going on telling. He is liking Sri Ramakrishna, so he is telling like that. And the Master is telling, how so? I engaged a carriage to bring me to Calcutta and advanced the coachman 3 annas. In those days, 3 annas. But he didn't turn up. I became very angry with him. He is a very wicked man. He made me suffer a lot. The Sri Ramakrishna, as because the God in human form, just behaving like the human. If he paid in advance, but the person who was supposed to drive him to Calcutta didn't come in time and didn't turn up at all. He said, I was angry. And you are praising me, you are free from love and hatred. That means you are completely free. This gentleman and many of the Indians, they read or hear this type of things, so they simply use this. The many of the people, if you just call them, then the person who will pick up on his behalf the telephone, he will say, he is in Samadhi. Without knowing what is Samadhi. Maybe he is just trying to meditate or praying to God, but the word he uses. But they just at random, many of the people, they use this word without knowing the implication, the meaning, the true meaning of it. One must be very, very humble. And now Sri Ramakrishna was resting. Marwadi devotees had been singing bhajan on the roof. They were celebrating the Krishna festival. Arrangements had been made for worship and food offering. At the host's request, the master went to see the image. He bowed down before the deity. Sri Ramakrishna was profoundly moved as he stood before the image. With folded hands he said, O Govinda, thou art my soul, thou art my life. Victory to Govinda. Hallowed be the name of Govinda. Thou art the embodiment of the Sachidananda. O Krishna, Krishna. Krishna is knowledge. Krishna is mind. Krishna is life. Krishna is soul. Krishna is body. Krishna is the caste. Krishna is family. O Govinda, my life and soul. Uttering these words, Sri Ramakrishna went into Samadhi. He remained standing. Rama Chatterjee supported him. Just a few para before, he said, no, I am not Rama. I am very humble. And then now we find he became merged with that Krishna and the Rama. This is Sri Ramakrishna. He is teaching us the humbleness. But at the same time, the reality is this. Those who really understood and started loving him and respecting him, they are blessed. Of course, blessed. But people don't understand. That is, people, they always think the divinity, God means something else. He was looking at that, and when he was uttering, and what did he say? You are everything, God, you are everything. After a long time, the master regained consciousness of the world. The Marwadi devotee were about to take out the image. The offering of food was to take place outside the room. The master joined the procession of the devotees. The food was offered with arati and music. Sri Ramakrishna fanned the image. Then began the ceremony of feeding the Brahmins. They were seated on the roof. The master and his devotees also partook the prasad. Sri Ramakrishna took leave of the host. It was evening, and the street was jammed as before with people and vehicles. He said, let us get out of the carriage. It can go by a back street. Proceeding on foot, he found that a better leaf seller had opened his stall in front of a small room that looked like a hole. One could not possibly enter it without bending one's head. The master said, how painful it is to be shut in such a small space. That is the way the worldly people, and they are happy in such a life. And sometimes in the streets of Calcutta, even today, we can find like that. Some of the cities in India, you will find a very poor person having a small little shop, almost half in the ground floor and half in the basement. In that condition is the crawling inside, sitting over there for the whole day, selling some little leaves and some little thing and earning something. But how the man is suffering. The Sri Ramakrishna noticed it, and he says, the carriage came up after making the detour. The master entered it with Baburam, M. Ram Chatterjee. The younger Gopal sat on the roof on the carriage. A beggar woman with a baby on her arm stood in front of the carriage, waiting for the alms. The master said to him, have you any money? Gopal gave her something. From the top he gave. The carriage rolled along the Baubajar. Everywhere there were signs of great festivity. The night was dark but illuminated with the mirrors of lights. The carriage came to the Chitpur road, which was also brightly lighted. The people moved in line like ants. The crowd looked at the gaily decorated stores and stalls on both sides of the road. There were sweetmeats stores and perfume stalls. Pictures beautifully hung from the walls. Well-dressed shopkeepers sprayed the visitors with rose water. The carriage stopped in front of a perfume stall. The master looked at the pictures and lights and felt happy as a child. People were talking loudly. He cried out, go forward, move on. So, if you still go, and that our Durga Puja is coming, of course this year is special because of the COVID, but thousands of people, they will be slowly moving, but the young people, children, the ladies, they are so happy in their best attire. They will be roaming around, and almost in the same type of picture the Master Mashai, when he is giving us, it was say almost 200 years before. The same type of thing is happening. And Sri Ramakrishna, like a child, because of the crowd and they are talking, so he also cried out and he said, go forward, move on. He laughed. He said to Baburam with a loud laugh, move on. What are you doing? But that is an indication. The devotees laughed too. They understood that the master wanted them to move forward to God, and not to be satisfied with their present state. Go forward, that is the charai beti. In Sanskrit, the go forward means charai beti. One should not be satisfied with whatever he has got in spiritual life. One should go on and on till it becomes one with the Brahman, one with the God. The carriage drove on. The master noticed that M had brought some clothes for him. M had with him 2 pieces of unbleached and 2 pieces of washed clothes. But the master had asked him only for the unbleached one. He said to him, give me the unbleached ones. You may keep the others. All right, you may give me one of them. Then shall I take back 1 piece? Then you take both. The as you please, sir. The master, you can give me those when I need them. You see, yesterday Banipal wanted me to carry away some food for Rakhal. I told him I couldn't. It is impossible for me to lay up for the future. Sri Ramakrishna is the monk, and a sannyasi, he cannot keep things for himself, even for next day. So that is the reason he is telling, I cannot carry things for the someone or for the next. I am depending on God completely. That's a unique condition of the mind. That's all right, sir. I shall take back the 2 pieces of washed clothes. Master, tenderly. Don't you see? If any desire arises in my mind, it is for the good of you all. You are my own. I shall tell you if I need anything. So we offer to God, and when God is asking himself, so naturally it's a blessed state. Then Sri Ramakrishna used to love Master Mahashaya, though he was only a teacher in those days, the salary of the teachers are very less. But Sri Ramakrishna used to ask him, this very Sri Ramakrishna, he refused 10,000 rupees from a businessman. He wanted to offer it. But he is asking the Master Mahashaya, whose salary was very meager, and he had a big family to maintain, that he is asking, can you give me these 2 clothes? Aim humbly, yes sir. Referring to a devotee, Sri Ramakrishna said, I said to him yesterday, tomorrow I shall go to Bau Bazar. So, Bada Bazar. Please meet me there. Do you know what he said? He said, the tram fare will be 1 anna. Where shall I get it? He had been to Benipal's garden. Now, when the Sri Ramakrishna invited him to come, he said, no, I won't be able to pay that money for the tram fare. The horse driven, the trams were there, but he told 1 anna fare, I won't be able to pay that, I won't come. But that was not the real intention. He could. He didn't come because Sri Ramakrishna will be the most important person over there, and he has to go and listen to Sri Ramakrishna. He never liked that. He wanted to be somebody. So Sri Ramakrishna mentioned, he had been to Benipal's garden yesterday and had officiated there as priest. No one had asked him to do it. He had put on the show himself. He wanted people to know that he was a member of the Brahma Samaj. To him, can you tell me what he meant when he said that the tram would cost him 1 anna? Friends, why Sri Ramakrishna is telling this? To criticize the man? No. It is not for that. It's to bring out the characteristics of some of the so-called devotees. And they always try to show up that I am a somebody in this. If you go to the temples, if you go to any holy place, you will always find 1 or 2 this type of devotee. One should be careful about. And one should not also practice this. Even by mistake if you have done, we have to be careful and rectify ourselves. When you go to a holy place, a holy person, we should be humble. Otherwise we are not going to get any spiritual benefit. And this man went over there to attend the function of the Brahma Samaj? No. He wanted to give a show up that he is someone, as if he is a priest. He was sitting on the dais, he is calling this man, he is just to show in the society that I belong to this rank, but no one asked him to do that. He is actually, officially, he is not. So that Sri Ramakrishna noticed, and he is mentioning over here and asking the aim, his own devotee, why he said like that? It is not for the money. He never went over there to meet Sri Ramakrishna and also to meet the other devotees, as because he won't be able to show up over there. So he was not interested. So when we are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we have to understand these subtle things. One must be careful that I am not going to do this mistake in my life. When I go to a temple, I must be humble. Whatever services is possible for me, I should provide. But not to show up, not to boast up, that I am so and so and I belong to this organization. That is very wrong, particularly in the spiritual life. The conversation turned to the Annakuta festival of the Marwadis. The master to the devotee, what you have seen here, one sees at Vrindavan too. Rakhal has been seeing the same thing there. But the amount of food in Vrindavan is higher. In Calcutta, some devotees they were doing, in the Vrindavan it is huge. And Rakhal is seeing means at that time the Rakhal Maharaj was there in the Vrindavan. The more people gathered there. There you also see the Govardhana hill. That is the only difference. Did you notice the Marwadis' devotion? Now Sri Ramakrishna, and we will be concluding with this, the devotion of the Marwadis. So they are business community, but their love for God, that Sri Ramakrishna appreciated. That is the real Hindu ideal. That is the Sanatana Dharma. Did you notice their joy when they carried the image in procession? They were happy to think that they bore the throne of God on their shoulders. This is Sri Ramakrishna. The observance. He was observing a person who was a hypocrite, who was not a true devotee, who just wanted to get his some name and fame and just a social recognition, and he went over there. That also Sri Ramakrishna noticed. Mind it, God noticed. Some people who are coming to the ashrama not as a devotee, not for the love of God, just only to show up that he is somebody, God noticed that. And at the same time, God is also noticing the genuine joy, love to carry the throne of God and walking barefoot on the street and showing and dancing, singing and dancing for God. That also God notices. That this is the main, and he said the Hindu religion alone is the Sanatana Dharma. The Hindu and the Sanatana. Hindu religion alone is the Sanatana Dharma, eternal religion. The various creeds you hear of nowadays have come into existence through the will of God and will disappear again through His will. These are the words, very interesting, and will disappear in His will. They will not last forever. Therefore, I say, I bow down at the feet of even the modern devotees. The Hindu religion has always existed and will always exist. That is the word. The Hindu, the Sanatana Dharma. Friends, not much time left. We have already crossed. Maybe in the next class, in the next week, we'll go what is called the Sanatana Dharma and why it is Sanatana. Sanatana means eternal. Why it is eternal religion? What is Dharma? Why Sri Ramakrishna is telling like this? We'll try to understand this particular portion.
One question. Kamal Chaudhary is asking, Rona Maharaj, can you please illustrate with some life event examples how to see Thakur as love?
As love?
Yes. Could you please illustrate with some life L-I-F-E, life event examples how to see Thakur as love?
If you go through the biography of Sri Ramakrishna, particularly the biography written by Swami Ishatmananda ji Maharaj, there are so many events there of love. when the Girish Chandra Ghosh came, Sri Ramakrishna was very sick. It was so difficult for him to get up and sit on the bed itself. But when Girish, Girish was the different type of person. He simply said, I want to drink water. I am thirsty. And there was no one around. Sri Ramakrishna crawled on the floor and went to that pitcher and put a glass of water and gave it to Girish Chandra Ghosh. Is it not the sign of love? It's a tremendous sign of love. Friends, if you see the sign of love of God, after the completion of his sadhanas in 12 long years, he went on the rooftop and of that Jamindar's house, Kuti Bari, and he gave the call to the devotees, please come, I like to share my treasure. That is the love. And wherever he has gone, he always tried to guide them to the true religion. That is his love. And the same love is percolating through the life of Swamiji Ma, and we have seen so many monks, whatever the personal pranami they get, they always, majority of the Swamis, they use that money to help the poor people, Is not that living love? The love for those whom we even don't know and whom we are not expecting anything from whom. We are helping them. Why? Because God is love. And if we are seeing that love as God, so that will completely change my life. Friend, you know that the God is nothing but purity. And what is purity? It is only love for God. That is purity. Thank you. Let us conclude with this pranam mantra. Niranjanam nityam anantarupam bhaktanukampa dhrita vigraham vai Ishavataram parameshamidhyam tam Ramakrishnam shirasa namamaha. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.